BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby.
Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart. A former athlete and motivational coach, I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
What if I told you that your identity is the thermostat of your life? I recently came across another podcast that opened my eyes to something that I think about all the time. Even though I come from an athletic background, I've spent the better part of the last 10 years in the world of sales. And often I have to go into a room or fire up a Zoom meeting, and I get to see a bunch of people, and I have no idea their background, where they're from. In some cases, I can learn about them as much as I can on LinkedIn. But ultimately, they all have an identity and a temperature that they bring to the scenarios that they face in their life. And it makes me think about a William Shakespeare quote. We know what we are, but not what we may be. And this idea of a thermostat and the temperature that we bring to the room, we often don't understand that it's not the people in the room that controls the thermostat. It's ourselves and our identity, and understanding how to turn the temperature up or turn the temperature down. It's solely depending on understanding what makes us tick, how we're getting from point A to point B in our lives, what motivates us. And your identity shapes your life. It's the thermostat regulating your experiences and achievements. I love the analogy of a thermostat because you think of the function of a thermostat. Recently, I was able to do some updates on a home, and one of the things that we did was we had to update the thermostats and make them digital, make them connected to Wi-Fi so we can control the temperature at any time. Sometimes that temperature is fun to control on my own, but if there's others in the house that can control it as well, it can turn into a little bit of a battle. But that's beyond the point. The function of a thermostat is that it regulates room temperature despite any sort of external influences. And remember that talking point of a meeting, the people that are there, you being there, what energy you bring to the table, because everybody with their identity brings their own thermostat to those situations. But if that room that you go into is 68 degrees and you come in with a 75% thermostat with your identity and come in with that passion, come in with that enthusiasm, you can literally change the entire temperature of the room. So what are the importance of having an understanding of our internal thermostat? This allows us to reflect on your self-identity, and it brings you back to a default state that regardless whatever external changes, regardless of what temperature is in the room that you're going into, is you have the opportunity to bring your energy to change any situation in your life. And understanding and adjusting your internal thermostat, there's all sorts of different aspects of your life to where this can be relevant. It can be something that you adjust in your day to day fitness. It can be something that you do in your relationships. It can be tinkered and adjusted based off of your wealth or your finances. It can be done with your faith. Each of these facets of your life have its own thermostat. And sometimes it's good to sit down and do an internal inventory of where you're at with your thermostats. How often have you been able to sit down and have that self evaluation and identify your current settings of each area and where there needs to be adjustments? So, I'm going to share a few strategies when it comes to how your identity and your thermostat and being able to keep the temperature up will dramatically impact your life. And that first strategy is make sure that you're associating yourself with people who have a higher temperature. There's been a lot of seasons in my life to where I feel like I'm at a 55-degree or 60-degree thermostat. Maybe I just had a tough situation at work or a tough family dynamic or trying to overcome an obstacle with my fitness. And I just feel like that internal thermostat is not where I want it to be. Oftentimes, when we feel like we don't have that internal thermostat set to where we want it to be, are you willing to find people who do have it set there? And that's the power of association, surrounding yourself with people who have higher standards and success in areas where you want to improve in your life. All of those different facets that you can uncover through self evaluation. You might have a friend that's really strong at their fitness. You might have a friend that's really strong with their relationships, their wealth, their faith, and put yourself around them. Simply being in the presence of somebody with a higher thermostat will indirectly increase yours. And as you're taking those practical steps to put yourself around thermostat raisers in your life, engage with them, learn from them, and figure out who's already achieved what you inspire to. There's a lot of people out there that are better at things than we are. And being humble and being able to say, I could use some help. We are never above the opportunities we have in our life to put ourselves around people that we can learn from. And as you're associating yourself with people with higher thermostats, strategy 2 is to shock your system by changing your behavior. Behavioral change, you're going to temporarily alter drastically to challenge your current self-beliefs. An example of this is, let's say you have an intensive new fitness routine. I'm a big time runner. I like to go out and jog. And recently I've been able to have some breakthroughs by incorporating some sprinting, some more anaerobic opportunities, because my aerobic base, my ability to go out and run 3-4 miles, I'm able to do that pretty consistently. So I've been starting to change my behavior by throwing in every other day, running a nice easy mile, and then actually sprinting a mile, mile and a half. And that type of tweak to my fitness routine has drastically changed my overall physique and my threshold and fitness output. And as I'm changing those behaviors and getting out of my comfort zone, because remember, our bodies are full of adaptations, but those adaptations, once we reach a certain threshold, our body is going to want to take that to the next scenario of where else can we get uncomfortable? Where else can we adapt and adjust and tweak to get out of our comfort zone to grow? Our bodies, our minds are always growing as we're able to change routine behaviors that comes into this null of life. And to go after what we want to go after, change your behavior and make sure that you're tapping into that belief reinforcement, because success in these types of efforts with your fitness, with your mindset, it will adjust your internal thermostat to a higher setting without having to be around other people just by manipulating your behavior and your belief systems. The third strategy is get rid of what no longer serves you. Think about all of the bad habits that you have in your life. Maybe it's not even bad habits. Maybe it's the type of people that you put yourself around. The people that you know are getting into things that are completely off the trajectory of where you want to go and where you want to be in your life. Are you able to recognize those individuals? You got to start by identifying the hindrances that are possibly not allowing you to increase your thermostat, and recognize those behaviors, recognize those people, recognize the thoughts, the emotions that hold you back. A lot of times people live the entirety of their life without recognizing what's bringing them down. And this inability to self-assess, having those moments to understand just as much as what you're going for, what's holding you back, what's the monkey on your shoulders that's keeping you from going where you want to go. And take action steps. Make sure you're removing these elements from your life as soon as possible. I know it sounds a little counterintuitive. It's not always about doing more in your life, but it's removing the unnecessary things that are holding you back that can naturally start also increasing your thermostat. The fourth strategy is elevate the story you're telling yourself. Being a coach, one of the most powerful things that I've taught with my students is the power of self-belief and positive affirmations, and creating the self-narrative that the stories you tell yourself, they can empower you or they can limit you. So when you're thinking about the novel that's written about your life, what's that book about? What's the genre or theme of the book? Is it a fairy tale? Is it a horror story? Is it motivational? Is it inspiring? And these are the types of things that, as you're able to evaluate and assess your story, it's that narrative that provides the fuel for the fire to increase your thermostat. It's the self narrative that the stories you tell yourself can either limit or empower you. So, what if the story is not what you want it to be? Well, the beautiful part about life and being able to wake up on today or to be tuning into this podcast is, guess what? You have an opportunity to rewrite your story. Focus on creating a new positive narrative that aligns with the desire of your identity, of your thermostat that you seek after. Now, as you start playing that new narrative in your mind and seeing the story play out in the future, in the present, and dream and imagine and envision of what you're capable of, that's where the power of this becomes pretty extraordinary. And after you're rewriting your story, it doesn't come without continuous development. The stories might just end up being an outline at first. And from that outline, you can add the details and intricacies as you're going on the journey to develop the whole story. You're writing new chapters. You're focusing on the future of growth rather than your past limitations. I remember when I dreamed myself at 14 years old. I was in the worst shape of my life. I had no aspirations to do anything great until I came across a friend of mine that got me into this game of tennis. And through that, I started dreaming of what could be, of playing college tennis, of playing at a high level that would change not only my fitness, my mindset, and my life. I started writing the outline of that book at 14. And slowly but surely, as I worked on the intricacies of each page, each chapter, filling in the details, I'm increasing my internal thermostat. I'm increasing the positivity in my life. I'm becoming a light in the dark. And how many of you that are tuning in today are looking at your life and what story am I telling myself? What are people projecting me as? How am I projecting myself? And it's really important as you're manipulating the thermostat that you bring to your life. You come with this understanding of what are the keys to the success to make this happen. You have to obsess over improving your identity to see lasting external changes. Our identity is something that we can manipulate. Our identity is something that isn't set in stone. And it's being able to have practical application, implement these strategies that we walk through today. Raise your internal thermostat to transform your life. It's not going to come overnight, but by being able that you're putting yourself around the people that will increase your thermostat, by shocking your system, by changing your behavior to do things that will increase your thermostat, by getting rid of the things in your life that no longer serves you, that's going to help intensify and increase your thermostat. And evaluate your story. What are you telling yourself? What's the narrative between your ears that plays each and every day of where you're a byproduct of those thoughts? You're a byproduct of what you're imagining, what you're visioning. That is something you can control. As you take these tips into day in and day out life, don't be afraid to share your journey. Encourage sharing your experiences with others, because without other people coming around you, that's the purpose of the BTB project, is doing things in community. It's a whole heck of a lot harder to do things on your own. But as you're able to increase your thermostat, you become contagious to be around. Just as much as you want to be around people that are going to raise your level, your thermostat. So I have a challenge for you. If you feel like you're at a 50, 55 degree thermostat and you're trying to get to that 75, 80 degree thermostat, I want you to challenge yourself and go find one person this week that has a 65, 70, 75 thermostat. Someone that's going to increase your temperature, and spend 3 or 4 days with that person. Doesn't have to be all day, but find times to communicate with them through text. Find times to meet with them for coffee. Find times to be around the people that they like to be around. Just find one person. And through this exercise, watch how it completely changes the thermostat that you bring into your situations and into your life. Remember, don't focus on external results all the time. Work on your personal identity, and that is where the long-term success will come from. Begin adjusting your internal thermostat today and become the best version of yourself today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. Listen, if this BTB short on thermostat, understanding your identity and your internal temperature that you bring to the table, if this episode inspired you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and tell them where your thermostat setting's at right now. Tell them where you inspire to be. And let's help one another through community raise our thermostat temperatures to impact our lives, to impact this world, and to do things we never thought we can do. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, Take care.